Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigor Mortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey, the East End Feeble.
And I'm the Gamer in Yellow.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy and most pasta, and be critically silly doing it. And tonight we have Redman. Not to be confused with another Redman story that we did years back, involving some kind of Irish fairy folklore creature. It was during it was like a St. Patrick's episode we did that had like we covered like 3 like micro pastas or like really small, like really short creep pastas that involved like Irish folklore or Irish things. And also not to be confused, I think, with a Redman villain or monster from a like creepypasta Minecraft thing on YouTube. I think these 2 things are different. And I'll go more into that with once we get into this. So Redman, I was given this creepypasta or a link to this creepypasta on a NeoCities site by Matt from Drunk and the Ugly back in the fall, and he's just really like my like go-to for like weird, creepy, like obscure internet horror or like niche internet horror.
Everyone needs a dealer.
Yeah, exactly. He's my dealer for like the really obscure or like the really niche, like and maybe even like more prevalent, because I think this came out like this stuff started this Redman story and some of the stuff around it kind of popped up around the fall of last year. So like only about 5 months ago. And so Redman, the creepypasta on a neocities.org website, is by Marcie SSS on YouTube, I think. And I think because I went down a rabbit hole. So as far as I can tell, this popped up on a Gmod/Minecraft stream by Marcie SSS on their YouTube channel, where they also released an animation and original song known as Redman's Lament, which with this link popping up of redman.neocities.org, like this was popping up in their chat during the stream, especially like near the end of the stream. And this all happened in September of 2023 is when this all these kind of these videos and the stream and the story seem to have popped up. I even went back into the Wayback Machine to see when the earliest instance of redman.neocities.org came from, and it seems to have happened in September of 2023. Okay. And furthermore, like the reason why I believe Marcie SSS is the one that also created the creepypasta is because a lot of the visuals from her or from their music video and music, like that music video animation they did of Redman's Lament, are used as assets and material in the Redman's NeoCity site. Like if for anybody who goes to the website and to my hosts, all the red visuals of like the red creepy looks like almost like a fence or like a kind of a
it's a railing.
Yeah, a railing. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, a railing. That's actually in like directly pulled from the video as well.
Mm-hmm.
This also seems to be I believe it could be a collab with Mae and Hazel from Mae.vods and HH Hazel on YouTube, respectively. Because Mae also did a reading of this story, linking it to Marcie SSS's Gmod Minecraft stream and such. And I think they know each other. Like me and Matt were kind of going back and forth with it about it, like trying to
you do on this.
lots in like. And what's funny is a lot of this is
they live like a street away from each other.
No. But they
together.
no. But like because well these two and whatnot have been kind of the like me and Matt have talked about them over the last couple of months too, because they did a very interesting creepypasta retrospect sort of like video and like a behind the scenes video of that video that's really interesting, and it shows that they have they're really interested in like creepypasta and like playing on the tropes and stuff like that in creepypasta. So it makes me believe that they are kind of tied to this as well. Yeah. So I encourage. I'm going to leave a bunch of. There's going to be a bunch of links in the description tonight. That I encourage you to check out, because these girls have some really cool like material. So yeah. Now, for the purposes of this episode, we're just covering the story that we found on the redman.neocities.org site. I just ended up, like I said, up diving down a rabbit hole personally, searching for proper credit to the story with Matt's help. So, and just with all that said, the Gmod stream also does have some interesting connections to the story found on the NeoCity site, as it was where the links first started popping up in their chat and stuff, like I said earlier. Though it's also more of a chill and like even personal Let's Play experience. It does sort of capture the vibe of the online friends group mentioned in the story that we're going to be covering. And like I said, I'll be leaving links to the videos in the description below. With all that said, if we missed anything, and the original creators listen to this and hear it, and if we get anything wrong, as always, please let us know. We're not perfect. We're not professionals. we just like
being wrong.
Yeah, exactly. We're used to being wrong. But yes, let us dive into redman.neocities.org, starting with our initial recommendations. I'm going to recommend it.
I am not going to recommend it.
Am I always the other one?
You're going to partially?
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, partial. I kind of like it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, let's find out why we have these very dynamic
recommendations.
Exactly, yeah. Starting with the rundown, I guess, featuring Nair. I'm not gonna do the rock thing.
No.
But it's Nair, because I don't believe we ever get a name to the person who wrote up the Redmond NeoCity site.
No.
Unless it is Marcie's. But I'm just gonna go
in the actual text.
Exactly. And I don't think it's supposed to be Marcie's, because it kept popping up as almost like bots and stuff like that on their chat. So I don't believe it. I don't think it's supposed to be that character that they played in that stream. So so on a NeoCity site, this story dwells and tells the story from Nair's perspective, explaining and also trying to rationalize the following events of their encounter with the Redman, a creature or entity that first popped up in a Gmod stream they and their online friends were playing, and that crashed the game with some spooky sounds and like as soon as they looked at the character, their computers all froze and gave them a good scare. They all had to like shut down the games, and they were just like freaked out by the whole experience. From there, they started noticing the Redman elsewhere in YouTube title cards, videos, and video games they played. And at first, it seemed rather innocuous. Nair even found that other people were starting to notice this entity. And then people started disappearing, including Nair's crush / love interest, Crystal, their online friend, or one of their online friends that they appeared to have a crush on. Nair and their friends all live far away from each other, being online friends and all. So they could only really connect through digital means. And it seemed that the Redmen had taken Crystal. like we even get like some like a note of her status notification, like a screenshot of it is very clearly she's been taken by some creature or something like that, because it's like infected with like the red man's like style or whatnot. Now, as Nair was posting this in a dour and depressed state, they start to hear Crystal through their headphones singing hymns, and feel the red glow of her embrace on the screen, and they want to be together again. And the story ends with Nair seemingly united with Crystal and the Red Man forever. Finn.
Happy ending?
Yeah. Yay. So that was basically the Redmond story on the NeoCities site. Basically something a video game thing happens while they're streaming a game, and they slowly descend into into being stalked by the entity until it starts taking them. So but with that, I suppose we should move on to everyone tolerates the Grammar Inquisitions at this point. I've got a kind of overarching thing about this. So I'm going to start with this quote here. I made this site to denote my recent experience with a phenomena that is difficult to describe. You'll understand once you read more. This site does not exist for the purpose of entertainment. Okay, so the lack of capitalization aside, which this entire story has no capitalization. Seriously, I don't think there's a single sentence that starts with a capitalization, which
there is not, but there is a single capitalized word in here.
Yes, there
One
is.
of them is.
Yeah.
So it
Now,
doesn't start with it, it's just in the middle.
Now that's it. I'm going to play it's the way the character types trope from our own repertoire, because I mean it sort of helps the immersion of these types of blog NeoCities style like entries and the individuals posting on them. So like I kind of want to give it a pass for that. And that aside, like the capitalization stuff aside, the story does have these weird Zalgo-esque symbols when using apostrophes throughout the story. I believe it's mostly apostrophes that it occurs in.
I think one of them might have been a semicolon.
Yeah, there's a couple that weren't just like apostrophes or semicolons, but like it was there's these weird like symbols that are used.
They're not weird.
And
one of them is a lowercase a with an accent above it, the little triangle accent.
Actually, you're right. Yeah, it does look. It looks like just like a jumble of regular words. But here's the thing. That might have to do with the format of the website, because originally it was supposed to be Zalgo font, which is a type of font that is used because of the Zalgo meme of like basically like when Zalgo infects your computer, it like leaves this weird, creepy jumble of like mimetic symbols and stuff like that. And so I think it might have just been like a situation of like, either the browser didn't have the Zalgo font, or maybe this is just like a weird, like, I think it's just like they like earlier instances of the story had the Zalgo font, but then like because of an update or something like that, it like doesn't have the Zalgo font or something.
Oh.
Now there is a jumble of
like, they're not like uncommon, well, like letters and stuff, because one's just an accented A, the other one is just the symbol for the euro.
Yeah,
like money,
and
the little tiny one is actually trademark.
the TM mark.
It's really hard to see. I only noticed it when I copied it into my notes.
I'm also seeing on one it's like a vertical like bracket or like dash.
Yeah, it's like a vertical line with the space in the middle.
But yeah, I believe these were originally supposed to be like Zalgo symbols.
Mm-hmm.
Because an update again, when I fell down a rabbit hole on the story. So I was like, when I was trying to find stuff for this about the site, about the story, I came upon a Reddit a thread on Reddit R codes. So like basically the Reddit channel for decoding things. asking about the text symbols in this NeoCities site. And it was revealed that it was Zalgo font, and the last bit of text that's like all just a jumble of that text is supposed to read, "I love you. It's incredible to finally meet you," which I guess is sort of supposed to be Crystal or Redman, like red Crystal, I guess.
Okay.
Whatever that entity that has just taken Nair now. So I'll leave a description to that thread because it's kind of funny that that somebody on a decrypting thread left a message like, does anybody know what this is? Like, recognize this? So
That's you.
Yeah. But that's honestly all I have for Grammar Inquisition. There is one typo I found. It's at the very end of the story, actually. And it's depth site, our lapse in communication. This whole mess has made me feel closer to her than ever. So it's supposed to be despite our lapse in communication.
Despite me reading over this, trying to find grammar issues, I completely missed that.
It's fine. I honestly, it wasn't in my grammar acquisition originally, because I was taking my notes and I was like, that's wrong. There's a squiggly. Why is that squiggly line under despite? Oh, that says depth site.
Yeah.
Did I copy that down wrong? And then I went to the actual website and I was like, oh no, that says depth site. Okay, yeah. So I typo needed it, and the only reason I found it was because I was putting in like quotes into my notes.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's basically the end of my grammar inquisition. So Mikey, the E stands for evil. Take it away.
Okay. Well, I have an issue with the whole thing, mainly just because of the no capitalization. But
and you're not willing to give it a pass.
Yeah. But the annoying thing for me was acronyms. So, like, we are obviously gamers, so we're in the know, so we know what Gmod is.
Yeah.
But somebody who's not a gamer reading this would be like, what the heck is Gmod? And find out that it's Gary's mod.
Yeah.
Which, how hard is it to spell out Gary's mod?
You know what? I but like, here's the thing, I'd be with you on this if it wasn't that, like, if it didn't help with the immersion of this. Like, this person who's writing this isn't talking to somebody outside of the gamer circle, really. They think that
purposes, no one that plays Gary's mod
calls it Gary's mod.
Gary's mod. It's Gmod.
Yeah, exactly.
It would actually not make as much sense if it was fully typed out. Like, yes, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
for sure. But for immersion purposes, no.
Yeah, exactly. And similarly, like, we all watch, there's another one here. Like, we all watch MLP together. We collectively have a very low. I know just from like having a niece and stuff like that MLP is My Little Pony.
And from being a brony. Yeah.
Totally not because of a brony.
No, of course not.
I could also, like, for a second it was like MLP. Oh, My Little Pony. Okay.
But that's just you. Like, I had to look up that acronym.
Fair.
So,
but isn't that like part of the fun?
Well, it takes you out of the immersion, and then
it really doesn't.
You're trying to read
because the immersion isn't like that part. The immersion is like getting a glimpse into this, like, kind of out of, if you're not in the know, it's an out of context kind of thing where you're just like, what is this cryptic, like, document that I'm reading now?
About My Little Pony.
About MLP. What does that stand for? What is this Gmod? If it was any other story, like, that wasn't like format the way this one is, I would agree with you. But because of the story the way it is, like, this is more of an immersive experience than a proper, like, laid out story.
Especially if it was like in like an omnipresent narrator.
Yeah.
Because he/she/ whatever the hell the narrator is, wouldn't necessarily be using gamer speak. They would be potentially speaking more layman's terms for everyone to understand.
Yeah, but this person is clearly, we're getting like the perspective of one person throughout this entire story.
But it's hit or miss person to person.
Yeah.
It will
Yeah.
bug some people and not bug others.
Yep. Yep. All right. And then I have a conjunction junction.
I was dreading this.
For you.
I was like, oh God. All right. And next stop, Conjunction Junction. Doot, doot.
So, it all started during a typical 2 a.m. Gmod session. But then I saw him again. It started slowly. It became sort of a running gag among friends that we were being hunted by the Redman. But my friends didn't seem to think so. It almost feels validating to see these claims corroborated. We who witnessed the Red Man have been brought together online, and now we've got each other's backs. It's 8 o'clock now, and I haven't heard back from her. And I want to listen. Finn.
Wow. That was the most succinct, like, because it kind of follows along the story. It just like almost every like every other paragraph you were able to find something from it. Holy crap. So succinct.
Faster rundown than yours.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. And mine is probably the shortest I've ever written. It's like barely it's barely 2 paragraphs.
Mm.
Damn.
Yeah. Not much silliness to pull out of that one.
Mhm.
But yeah, that happens sometimes when Mikey grabs all the sentences throughout the story that start with words that they probably shouldn't, like its, ends, or buts, because there's always better words to use, except when it's the way the character talks or
Types.
types or I don't know.
Yeah.
It gets kind of
Yeah, our grammar acquisition this week is a little suspect, a little sus, as the kids say these days.
So we
I've
should
never. Sorry.
shoot it down an airlock?
Yeah, sorry. I've never like, just as a quick tangent. I've never felt older than when my like 8-year-old cousin and 9-year-old niece are saying things like "that's so sus" or "that's super cringe," and it just like and like starts talking like things I've heard on like YouTube, like Let's Plays and stuff. I was like, oh my God. I'm just like turning to ash.
wow.
But yeah. So yeah, I guess Gamer. Yeah, I guess Gamer, do you have a grammar in yellow?
A little bit left. I don't know. There's the one where there was a capital used in the story randomly throughout in the middle. We'd shut the game in a screaming frenzy. Crystal shared actually capitalized sobbing.
I mean, yeah,
Sorry,
that's for
Crystal started
Yeah.
capital actually sobbing.
See, for me that actually kind of sounds like they're doing that for like emphasis. Like just like, yeah, it's like actually started crying.
Wouldn't it be all caps then?
You're right. It usually that's what it is, but I mean, I could take it.
When there's no caps in the whole story, all caps reverts to single caps.
Yeah,
Is that how that works?
but sure.
Okay.
It's the way the character types.
And then if the whole thing was written in all caps, then you would do bold.
Yeah.
Okay.
And probably with underline and like maybe italics.
No, italics
Dread
italics.
italics.
So our next one.
Yeah.
When I got the email for this, you're like, here's the Redman story. I'm like, okay, cool. And I boot it up and it says sightings of a mysterious man. And I'm like, is this the right story?
Right, yeah, because have you seen this man? Like that one we did a while back, right?
Yeah, and then right underneath it, there's a subtitle that says, have you seen him?
Oh, no.
So there's the Redman story, which has a subtitle of sightings of a mysterious man, which has a subtitle of did you see him?
Yeah. And yet it is not the man in the dreams and stuff like that, yeah.
No, so this is just the Redman creepypasta.
Yes.
I guess.
Though again, I wouldn't put. This probably might go into actual thoughts a little bit, but like, so I know that the creators of like that are kind of linked to this do like to pay nods or like pay homage and nods to like older creepypastas, like not just through tropes, but also like almost basically like make like almost like pay tribute or even like make some satirization of other characters. So I wonder if like they when whoever made either Marcie or Mae or Hazel or whoever made the story, when they wrote this story, I wonder if they drew inspiration from the "Have you seen this man" creepypasta as well, because they do a lot of
subtitle.
Yeah, exactly, or like for that kind of like idea, because this kind of seems to borrow like tropes from like a bunch of various old creepypastas, and kind of makes its own thing in the process. But then you see, like sightings of a mysterious man, and have you seen him? Like, have you seen this man? Is like the biggest like like it's creepypasta bordering onto an urban legend.
Yes, but regardless, this whole point is in regards to when you open up the story, it doesn't say Redman on the title whatsoever, which is I found odd.
Yeah, it's just the domain name is redman.neocity.
Yes. This one, I'm sure Mikey brought this up in his conjunction junction. But there's a sentence that goes like this. So that's it.
Yep. That was the first sentence of my conjunction junction.
Oh, was it? That was the very first one?
Yeah, so
there wasn't a big enough pause.
The first time I saw, I guess if anything, that should really be so comma the first time I guess if you want to go that way, but like I'm sure that was again like our grammar acquisition is really kind of a farce today, because it's just like
it really is.
It's really just like we get it. It's the way the character types, even if some of us don't like it more than others.
But also, like, okay, in this headspace of this character, they started writing this after being stalked and people being taken and her friend being like her status all fucked up and weird, right? So I guess that's why there's like no capitalization, none of that shit. Like, it doesn't matter because they're just like furiously putting this information out before they get taken.
Exactly. Yeah, that's because they even say like they've been like ups. Like it's sunrise, and they're still up on the internet. Like they've basically been up all night. So like they're manically like writing this down. Also, I wonder if like kind of going back to what I was saying about the Zalgo like font text, that's where all the apostrophes are. I wonder if that's like the first inclination of the infection, and then like and it gets worse and worse at the very end. Like whereas like there's just that jumble of words as they are finally taken by the red man.
Problem I have with that, and I think I have something like this in my notes, but whatever.
Okay.
It's not a slow build.
No, it's really it's basically like the entire story. It's just every apostrophe and like semicolon is that weird Zalgo thing, and at the very end, we just get a like barf of the text.
Yeah, I feel like it should like slowly get like have 90% of the story be relatively clean to read, but then the last couple of paragraphs it gets exponentially worse and worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about all I got for grammar on this, though.
Okay.
And all of this is with a big asterisk because it's they wrote it down in character, in worry, but they managed to like buy a website. Or do you buy?
I don't think. I think this is probably a free one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it take a long time to set up a website? Because I don't know if that's the quickest way to.
Well, I mean, I wonder if maybe like they've spent like a few hours like setting this up, and then like now they're getting to typing this, and it's all manic and stuff because it's been like again sun rising and stuff like that, right? So
yeah, and they're wanting to make websites so it's like permanently online.
Yeah. Also,
like,
by the end, it's like
it could be deleted.
Yeah. Also, who's to say that like the person wrote this up and then got taken by the red man and whatnot, and then the red man just like and enter and just finished it for them.
He wants legend to be known.
Exactly. Yeah, because he wants to be. He's spreading. He's a mimetic virus kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I kind of go into that with my actual thoughts. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's a good enough segue.
Yeah. So yeah, on to actual thoughts. Not exactly going to cover that yet, but I'm going to get there. So I'm going to start with this quote here. The following reports are plainly factual and accurate to the best of my ability. I'm sure there's a logical explanation for all of this, but I need more eyes to parse it. Good old creepypasta trope, or really early online horror trope, really. Always stay in character. This is a real thing I'm trying to get to the bottom of. I swear. Just classic. classic trope.
Mm-hmm.
Right from the get-go. And really the story just has those, like, has these classic creepypasta tropes that, like, somebody who's read a lot of creepypastas, like, I can really appreciate. So I'll move on to the next thing I have here. To say that we freaked out would be an understatement. We each shut the game in a screaming frenzy. Crystal started actually sobbing, and our ensuing argument sought to determine which one of us spawned in a meat ghost from the workshop. Did we overreact? Listen, we all watch MLP together. We collectively share a very low horror tolerance. So I think we took it about as well as one would expect us to. So I really like how they explain the overreaction. Like, it's not just an outlandish, like, no reason reaction that we like, and like we never get it addresses to like it's a little bit self-aware, but like in a way that like a person's like they're trying to explain why they reacted the way they did, like after the fact. And I'll move on to the next thing I have. The next morning, my friend group had pretty much forgotten about the whole thing. I, on the other hand, was still curious. And so I read this part, I was like, it might have been really cool if this had been a thing where like the others in his group or the others in their group didn't recall the previous night's events or the Redman at all. Like following more like kind of like creepypasta tropes where like the characters are getting like supernaturally gaslit or like or psychologically gaslit about like the events. Even though it keeps happening and they keep forgetting.
Yeah.
I think that might have been a cool like thing there.
Although, did they stream their gameplay of that happening, like in lore?
Yeah, they would have been streaming it, so like it's very possible.
Then that would have been a good opportunity to like have the character go back and look at the stream, and like maybe it didn't happen on the stream, but they remember it so like.
Or like at first they denied it. It's like, no, that what are you talking about? That what? Like we just had a good stream and then we closed out for the night. It's like, no, dude, like we all like stopped and like, don't you remember? It's like, no. And then they pull up the stream and it actually shows that the Redman and some of that and like the weird like glitch right before it like basically stutters out and like stops the feed. And the other characters are just like super quiet. Like it's like, hello, guys, and then you just hear like, like just some weird like screaming from their headsets.
As they're like again, like actually got them taken,
or just like has their minds like their minds just like for some reason have been like glamored or like shielded or like like have just like repressed the memories. But yeah,
or, like show the stream and like the creepy stuff happens and then like they're like, what's happening? I don't understand. Why are you freaking out?
Yeah, like he can, the narrator can see the stuff, but like their friends can't see any of it.
Yeah,
yeah.
There's lots of ways it could go.
Yeah, what are you talking about? We're just seeing an art. Like the video's just been a horribly artifact. Like something must have like broken the file. I was
just
like,
a lag spike.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I'll move on to the next thing, which is the first image we get. So we get two links in the story that are red, which is kind of confusing. Just going to say right off the top, because the title for this, Sightings of a Mysterious Man and Have You Seen Him, are red font, and Have You Seen Him is even the same size font. So I thought that was also a text or a link, but it isn't. But yeah, in the actual story itself, it's all white text except for these two instances where there's red text. Where the first image has a link from I found this, and this is red with an underline, with a hyperlink to an image. And I looked at the image and like I was like I had to look at it a couple of times. Like, what am I looking at? And so like I
Is it
guess
Smear?
yeah. Well, I guess to me, like it's maybe this is some of that pareidolia happening, where it's like I guess it.
Rorschach test.
Yeah, it's like a red pixelated skull face from like profile, like from a side
Mm.
shot, is the best I could
Yep.
like kind of discern it. And it's vaguely creepy. And then we get this bit in the story like soon after. The Google Images result was a far more recent repost in which a Reddit user claims, probably ironically, that it's a photo of his good friend. I don't know. Something about the visual quality of this particular image gripped me. And I'm like, I'm sorry? Are they seeing something that we aren't seeing from the image? Kind of like harkening back to what we just talked about with
Yeah.
like seeing like, or is their good friend Skeletor dealing with being sprayed by a skunk and needs tomato juice like bathed over him? But in seriousness though, yeah, the image is kind of interesting. It's just kind of in that obscurely eerie way, I guess, where it's like just vague enough that it has the possibility to have a spooky undertone to it, which, to be fair, is also very much in line with like early internet horror. Like,
I mean, it's a red thing on a black background. That
yeah,
by default gives it a spooky undertone.
yeah, but like we've also like covered stories before with like I think it was Funny Mouth and stuff like that, where like it's a very like kind of broken up image, or it's like an image made from like from a bunch of, it's either made from pixels or it's like made from like a bunch of small things that form an image that is vaguely spooky. And like again, you see that a lot on like in like early 4chan posts of like creepy stuff. People would like just Photoshop or make up like weird little creepy images and then like throw it on there to try and spook people online. So again, very in line with the kind of creepypasta this story is invoking. And also a little bit we get early on with like the story says something about like there's an earlier story about the Red Man from like 2001, and it was just basically for me it just felt like a very classic style forum post, like, or the kind of thing you'd see on like an X thread on 4chan creepypasta, where it's just like just using this like a creepy image, and then like a few little lines of like something spooky, and like how like the thing infected their computer or infected the floppy drive, like they say. And it's the kind of creepypastas and kind of like little short creepy stories that I was shared to by some friends back in like college and stuff. So the story kind of like, I think the reason why I like this story so much is because it kind of feels very familiar to me. Like it has like, almost like a homey feel to me. Like I remember these kind of stories, or I remember stumbling upon these or getting linked to these when I was younger.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought this was a lot older than last year.
Yeah, it's literally like September of 2023. It's not
mainly because just like looking at the website, it's a very old school looking
Yeah,
website with like the tiled background and stuff.
Yeah, like this is the kind of creepypasta that you would have seen on like MySpace or like
Yes.
like in the early days, like yeah, like those early like creepypastas and stuff like that. Like it's very evocative of early creepypasta, but as far as I can tell, like based off the Wayback Machine and stuff like that, the earliest instance of it, according to the Wayback Machine, was like the same. It was September 2023 when like the Gmod stream came out, and like the music video that Marcie's made. So it's just made to look really old, even though it's fairly new. And I gotta appreciate the craft. Like that's like, to me, like that also, like I think again, it's another reason why I kind of think I like it so much is because it's new, but it's trying to be, it's sort of like when a filmmaker makes a horror movie based like that evokes like the 80s and 70s horror, and actually uses film that they would have used back then, like film techniques and film that they would have used back in the 70s and 80s, to make it much more authentic.
Like Stranger Things, the creepypasta.
Well, Stranger Things, to a degree, yes, but I'm thinking more like
because like they nailed the 80s aesthetic.
Yeah, they nailed the 80s aesthetic, but like I'm thinking more like Skinamarink or the House that I think the House of the Devil, which actually used like celluloid film from like that and film techniques from that era, or used like the guy's like parents' house from like the 80s and 90s to film in, rather to kind of evoke that like that older period feel, even though it was shot in like 2018, 2020, so or like 2022 kind of thing. So yeah. Again, for me, the story was more of like the part of the charm of it for me was the craft of it. Now I'll move on to the next thing I have here, and this could be either you guys might agree with me, or this may be very damning for me. My opinion.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Contemporarily, it's mostly associated with a spooky green tech, like I was mentioning earlier about the earlier creepypasta, a spooky green text story about a haunted old computer terminal. Admittedly, I liberally skimmed it. My face was hot with fear after only a few sentences, but I mostly got the gist. This guy's phone calls with his pen pal. Hang on, what? Okay. This guy's phone calls.
This guy phone calls with his pen pal.
Kept getting interrupted. I think it's like this guy's phone
calls apostrophe.
Yeah, this guy's phone calls with his pen pal kept getting interrupted, and he realized it was because his computer was dial-up internet-ing all on its own. After getting fed up and unplugging the whole thing, this image was allegedly burned onto his floppy disk. After this, his friend stopped calling. To me, this whole thing seemed like another dead end. Or is this a sequel / spinoff to Who Was Phone? Because Who Was Phone?
Oh my god, it might be.
Who was dial-up? Who was dial-up tone? Because it kind of has like the same again, like, and I think that's again, like, I think this is just a nod to like the Who Was Phone, or like that kind of like it had like guys on a phone call with a pen pal, and like keeps getting interrupted, and then like the thing like it's because of a dial-up thing, and then when he unplugs everything, the image that we saw was like burned into onto a floppy disk, and it's so evocative of like early internet horror. So yeah, and just like my little like silly comment is like, or is this just a spin-off to Who Was Phone? It's got dial-up now. But yeah, so I'll move on to the next thing I have, and this one's also going to be rather silly, I think. I'll let you guys be the judge. So this is from the quote here is, once again, we were up to no good. Started making trouble in the neighborhood. Caught one little sight and my friends got scared. They said the red man's back and you got to get out of there.
I'm sorry?
Yo, home to Bel Air. Yeah, sorry. I don't know why. It's really dumb. But I couldn't help but have that pop up in my head once I read, like, we were up to no good. And then I started constructing a Redman version of the lyrics.
Oh, okay. I thought you were reading it verbatim.
No.
I'm like, does it straight up say that?
No. Sorry, I should have sang it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Like, even if you sung it or not, though, yeah. I thought you were reading a direct quote from the story.
No,
the first part is a quote.
Yeah, the first quote is, once again, we were up to no good. And then, like, that's where it stops. But then my mind kept going. It's like, started making trouble in the neighborhood. Caught one little sight. And my friends got scared. They said, the red man's back. You got to get out of there.
That's great.
Yeah. Good. I was like, this is like, even in my notes, like right after, like, this is super dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but so are we.
I know, but it's just like, it seemed dumber than normal. But I kept it in anyways.
Look, we have a dumbness slider that we adjust as necessary. It's fine.
True. Yeah. Some moments are dumber than others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've now like reached critical silliness.
Oh, you'd be surprised how dumb we can get.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, I think I've reached my critical silliness.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah.
We can always go dumb.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'll move on to the next thing I have here. The quote I have is, it started slowly, a tweet here, a tenor gif there. The internet's pervasive smattering of Redman depictions seemed to find us wherever we least expected it. We'd always keep each other posted when we found another. It became sort of a running gag among friends that we were being haunted by the Redman. And then a little later, as things escalated, we get this. As I type this, I'm scrolling through endless discussions about cryptic videos popping up in recommended feeds, aberrations in video games, files, web pages, on the omnipresence of a mysterious red figure. It almost feels validating to see these claims corroborated. We who witnessed the Red Man have been brought together online, and we've got each other's backs. Among the stories, though, there are sets of names, emergency contacts, locations, and I feel sick. People are going missing. So, game fodder. I've got the Vossen itch, especially now that I have a modern Vossen supplement that I found on Drive-Thru RPG. I think I've mentioned it before. And really, this idea could be used with other modern horror games like Fear Itself, or even Little Fears if you want to have like childhood horror or like teen horror implemented in this situation. So like an entity trapped online or summoned somehow that slowly latches onto a group of people, the players, and begins popping up all over their feeds. And at first, seemingly innocuous. Like basically the first like half hour of the game is pretty like hasn't attacked anybody, hasn't like threatened anybody. It's just this sort of like novelty that like has kind of caught the group's attention. But as things go on, perhaps strange things start happening, leading up to an NPC in the group or family members of the player characters going missing after they were introduced, after they were told about this thing by their characters, maybe with some hint as to the Red Man's connection. I feel this entity has promise as a focus for a spreading mimetic creature in like a tabletop game. And then we go to the status of the status image that we get of Crystal, which is the second link in the story. And for anybody following along, it's basically like a sort of a profile status image, but it's all like red, and it's got clear signs of the Redman's signature and like images and imagery and stuff like that. And it's like everything's like Crystal's name is like da 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 about me, and then it's like Redman, like the Redman, the original Redman symbol or image, and then like roll. And it's in like a red circle, and then next to it together, and then like under the node it's like I found you. So it's like very like clearly she got caught by the Red Man. Just see what I was talking about earlier with like the Red Man taking people's disappearances and like finding a way to link the Red Man to these disappearances in a tabletop game. Basically, you just use something like that, like use that kind of like, you notice that their profile name is now like been changed to like this kind of thing, or like they have these kind of messages. Hell, you could even have like weird, like some like maybe if you want to go a little bit more blatant, the person's like room, like on their wall, there's just like in red material, like red liquid, maybe it's blood, maybe it's just like spray paint. It's in Zalgo font, and it says we're finally now I'm home.
I got news for you.
This is my oh god. Oh man, Bad Ben versus Red Man.
Who would win?
Whoever wins, we lose.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like you could even try and play it off either like for like the story, like using this creature in like a game or something like that. You could even play it off either as the explanation or just the initial rationale of the players or like of the characters that are in this game, that this is some creepy internet serial hacker / stalker who's kidnapping their victims and just like finding a way to break in. And then
it could
maybe
be entirely mundane.
Yeah, you can make this whole completely mundane, or have it start seemingly mundane and then like introduce the more supernatural aspects later, like as it progresses. The image itself, I just think it's a really good way at hammering home the dire situation for Crystal. Like, she is clearly taken, and her profile has been infected with the redman.
It's kind of weird that like supernatural creatures care about that, like specifically about like infecting profile statuses and stuff.
I think so. I think for most, at least my interpretation of that kind of stuff is most of the time it's just like it's a byproduct of their presence. Like, it just, they naturally infect the world around them, or taint the world around them with these weird like these weird messages and stuff like that. They may not actually be like saying like, let me type this up, let me alter this profile. I think it's just like
with my favorite GIF on it. I'll put that in there.
Exactly. I think it's just like as they pass by, it changes because like their aura corrupts things around them.
Hence why the NeoCities website looks the way it does too. Because I'm assuming it didn't look like that when
maybe
was typing it up.
Exactly. Like, maybe this is all from the corruption of the redman.
I'm assuming it probably looked like a default NeoCities page.
Yeah.
Because I doubt they had time to like pick their favorite color and background and
or find this like really weird like GIF version from of like staircases and stuff.
Yeah.
or railings. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is a staircase on a railing, so you're not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. In the music video, it's actually the railing that the redman's coming up from. So. Honestly, yeah, anybody who's listening to us and hasn't checked it out, like, you should check out the Redman's Lament on YouTube. It's a creepy, fun little like it's a creepy, spooky like music video. So but yeah, I'll move on to the next thing I have here. We've tried countless times to somehow bridge the impossible gap between us, but no matter how hard we tried, something always got in the way. An unforeseen emergency, a lack of money, or the fear of what our parents might do if they found out about us. As I sat alone in my room, softly illuminated by the red light of the rising sun, listening to the morning birds, we tried to forget about another failed attempt at anything connecting. Sorry for rambling. I just really want to see her right now. I like how this story is just steeped in a type of isolation and long distance relationship situation between this group of friends. I feel like, especially nowadays, this sort of isolation, or this sort of isolated connectedness, is really familiar to a lot of folks, especially post pandemic. Where like we've definitely like glued ourselves more and more to monitors and like to FaceTiming or connecting online rather than like meeting in real person, like in real space. The whole idea of like, I think the whole term meet space is kind of spawned out of the pandemic.
I don't know. You've referred to meet space a lot before that.
Yeah, but that was also because like we were gaming either online or in real life. But so like, and I think I learned it online. So like, I think I found it online. So, but yeah, this sort of, it's really, I think it's really familiar for a lot of people nowadays, and it can be used really well in this sort of horror. Like, while I was reading the story and like getting to the end, I was kind of reminded by an Outer Limits episode where it's survivors of an online it's survivors of an invasion, and the characters are like basically like these people that were put in outposts by their governments across the world, and they are separated by great distances, but they are connected by video calls, by a video call system that is like encrypted, that they can communicate with each other and like keep tabs on each other to figure out what the situation, what each person's situation is. And they eventually like form like little relationships or friendships and stuff like that. And then it sort of doesn't go, I'm not going to spoil that episode, but it doesn't go well for anybody. And like, as basically people start getting like picked off, or like people stop dropping off the call, essentially, including the love interest of the main character. And then they get a call and it just doesn't go well. So like that kind of thing was what was coming through my head as I was finishing up the story, and it evokes that same kind of mood that has popped up in the internet age, and find root in creepypastas and online internet horror because it's just so familiar to a lot of people who are like online a lot. So like that kind of like feeling of you're connected to somebody, but you're also in a way physically isolated.
Yeah. It is weird how things are going these days like that.
Yeah. And it's not like, I think the pandemic accelerated it, but it was kind of going on for throughout the 2000s.
Yeah.
Like basically from the 2000s on, like we've had like, there's actually whole like animes and like other and like movies and shows and stuff like that draw on that, on that situation. And it just shows like that there's meat on that bone for material to comment on socially.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in horror.
I was walking with my dad the other day, and like it's March break now, right? Isn't it?
Yeah. As of recording
yesterday, it was like one of the first warm days in a long time. There's no snow anymore, despite us being in Canada. Yes, sometimes there is no snow on the ground.
I know we're not just a snow blasted wasteland.
No, at least not this one day. Tomorrow we will be snow blasted again, regardless. It was nice. I went out for a walk, and my dad's basically like, "It's March break, but where is everyone?" I'm like, "Probably everyone's home inside doing things. Like people don't do shit outside anymore."
Yeah, my mom similarly. My mom went out on the start of the week, like went into town, and she was surprised that there was no kids out, or like no teens, no kids out. And even though it's March break, I was like, "Mom, it's." Today's day and age, like they're probably inside on their screens or on playing online or something like that. It's or it's just like the start of the week is, but because I then I've gone with a couple of walks with them, and similar to you, but like the one day there was nobody, and then the next day there was so many people walking their dogs all at the same time. It was ridiculous, and there were people playing outside, but like, and then. Like it's just sort of off and on, but like it's definitely not as much as it used to be. And I think that's just, I mean, it's probably just either like people weren't aware like how nice a day it was, or they're inside.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
just the way things are. Yeah, kids these days. As I stand inside my house recording a podcast while playing Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah, while it's sunny outside. Well, actually, to be fair, I think it is raining outside right now.
It is raining.
So we have a reason not to be outside. But
liquid sunshine.
Yeah, liquid sunshine. But yeah, like so, it just kind of it just kind of helps. Yeah, it just hammers home the this aspect that is very much touched on in the story of this this connected isolation, or this isolated connectiveness that online friends and online being online a lot of the time kind of can invoke, and you can use that in a story.
Yeah, I don't think we've really, or at least I haven't read too many creepypastas with that sort of vibe to it.
Which is weird because a lot of early ones are like that. Like, because a lot of online, early creepypastas were written by people who are, I don't want to use the word terminally online, but like that were basically like a lot of early creepypastas were by people who spent a lot of time on the internet.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to use that term because I don't like that term, because I don't think it. I mean, I think it can be a case for some people, but I don't think it's. I think nowadays, I don't think it really applies, because like people do also get like they don't have they spend a lot of time online, but like it's out of necessity and stuff like that, and it's
online isn't just a toy. Like you can like literally like make ends meet by being online.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not necessarily so much of a bad thing these days.
Yeah. And I think also like the whole idea of like having online friends has also changed dramatically, because like early on, like in the 90s and 2000s, having online friends were like these strangers that you never knew. That was so, it was like, oh, like those aren't your real friends. Your real friends are the ones that like live near you. It's like, no, like as it's gotten old, it's like, no, like the people that you meet online, like as long as you're like being safe about it and like and careful about it, like those are just as valid as friends in meet space. So yeah, it's the story's kind of invoking that kind of stuff, like those kind of vibes off of me, like or kind of giving me those thoughts while I was reading it. So, but I'll finish up my actual thoughts. I'm almost done. I'm on my last one here. Yeah. So with this quote here, despite our lapse in communication, This whole mess has made me feel closer to her than ever. I know I'm going to meet her soon. The red glow of my monitor must be a sign that she's reaching out from beyond the void, radiating an incomprehensible, indescribable warmth that I can't help but crave. I can almost hear her sweet hymns, her sweet hymns caroling through my headphones, and I want to listen. And now the character has become a victim, yet another victim of the Redman, because she's like, this person's clearly been fallen into the siren song of the entity.
Mm-hmm.
Or who knows? Maybe it is Crystal. Maybe it isn't all that bad. Maybe you should just embrace the red light from your.
Maybe the red man is actually just a good guy, and he's like, these people are meant for each other. I'm going to use my magic to teleport them to the same location.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a happy ending. Maybe it's a buddy horror.
Yeah, maybe this is all really just a buddy horror. Maybe Redman is an online. Okay, so Vossen time. Maybe Redman is actually a Cupid for the digital age.
Yeah.
Like, he's bringing people together. Magic, technology, together.
Yeah. Bring back that old
oh man.
gag.
Yeah, that running bit. But yeah, honestly, the ending of this page gives so much to make this creature something for a game scenario. Like, it, as it draws close to its victims, it begins to siren sing, or even like maybe even like take on the voice, or like the take on the identity of the character of a previous victim that the character was close to like perhaps hypnotically pull them into the red glow of the computer and bring them into their realm or their world. Or like we just said, maybe flip it around. Maybe like it seems sinister and evil, but it's actually like a weird twisted version of a Cupid in like the digital way. Like maybe it is actually just like a like some kind of like spirit of love or connection that is now in the digital age. You see it a lot in like neo-paganism and stuff, like from like the early 2000s, like the where like the afterlife, or like the Fey worlds and the ethereal worlds are in the digital world or stuff like that. So I remember seeing a lot of, like, when I was in high school and like early college. I remember in like the early 2000s like seeing a lot of like really like, I guess, NeoCity style, or even like MySpace websites for like neo-Wiccanism and like neo-paganism, where it's like, oh, like the spirit world is in the digital world now, like where it's all like tech. It's like almost like like borderlining technomancy. So I guess it's good.
Flashbacks to like Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad a little bit too.
A little bit too, yeah. So like, I wonder if we could use this for Shadowrun. Sorry, Mikey.
Yeah,
like maybe this is like something, because like in I know in 4th edition Shadowrun there is also a so in 4th edition magicians and wizards and shamans summon and evoke spirits from metaplanes, which are like basically like pocket dimensions of magic in the astral plane that's like parallel to our own, and they're all like flavored from different like mythologies and cultures and stuff like that. But there's, in 4th edition, they kind of tried to balance technomancy to wizards and magic and stuff. So they gave technomancy's resonance instead of magic, and they give technomancy like the technomancy or technomancers had like tech spirits or sprites, like these little like these spirits of machines or of the internet, and they had their own little like domains, like little pocket dimensions of cyberspace that I think could, depending on like the location you were in, where like a high concentration of like frequencies or electronics, they could actually like interact with the physical world a little bit. Sort of like
Johnny Silverhand a sprite? Technically
kind of. He could technically be a sprite if you want to like try and pull him into like Shadowrun.
Yeah. Referring to him from Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
For anyone who's unaware.
Yeah, he'd basically be like a tech equivalent of a free spirit, I think, that's like bound to a certain person because of the microchip that's in them.
Yeah, because it is tech based, but it is like also his soul in there.
It's very complex, because like strangely enough, like Cyberpunk's like 2077 has this like like the internet is like an ethereal, it's another dimension, is like another reality overlaid the real world, where like god tier AIs are held back by a great firewall, like by a barrier. Like, and there's like a great beyond there's actually like the internet that you jack into in Cyberpunk 2077, like in Night City, is a safe pocket that is surrounded by a great like firewall barrier that keeps like god tier rogue AI out. And like the way they describe it, and the way you kind of interact with it, especially with like the voodoo gang and stuff like that, it's almost like it's a barrier to like the Fey realms, or like a greater beyond dimension.
That is cool.
So yeah, and I think it's also like physically like there's actually a physical wall of it. Like if you go past a certain point outside of Night City, you start going into that. You start going past that the boundaries of the safe internet, and into like the wild internet where like the rogue AI can like hack into your devices if you're not careful.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think that was kind of the impression I initially got when I was first playing Cyberpunk 2077, but I might be wrong. Point is, yeah, like this kind of creature, this kind of entity, the Redman, could be one of those like entities that you could implement in like a number of tabletop games as like a spirit of the machine, or a spirit that's like online, or some entity that's online that can fuck with with mundane with material world as well as the digital world.
Mhm.
And I'm here for it. So because honestly, like this whole idea of like people getting dragged into their computers, so it kind of reminds me of like a reverse Ringu sequence. Like instead of Samara like coming out of the TV, she just like pulls people into the TV.
It's Captain N, the game master.
Yeah, so that's also that could also be a terrifying thing.
Yeah.
There's a number. Heck, wasn't there even like an Are You Afraid of the Dark episode that dealt with a virus that was similar to that?
Oh, probably. I wouldn't be surprised.
But anyway, back to the story at hand. That's really all I have for my actual thoughts. I like the creature of the Redman, like and what it can do, and I like how this story plays on like using this seemingly supernatural, like glitchy, like internet horror monster, but also like plays with the idea of like online friends and like the sort of like isolation you have from your friends when you have an online group like this, and like what happens when things go bad. Like, how do you communicate? How do you try and like make contact again and stuff like that? So, yeah. Mikey, do you have? Well, I guess Mikey, you're up. I'll relinquish the microphone. I swear. No, here you go.
Just give it to him. God, it's not your turn anymore.
All right. Well, my take on this is that Nair is the red man.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Nair is the red man.
Yeah, I heard him. I just like it was that meme or that gif. I was like, or it's just like the guy just like, huh? What?
All right. So, and he's basically internet stalking Crystal.
Oh.
So, and the reason why he's the red man is because at the end, he has the red glow from my monitor. So we assume he's in a dark room with only the glow from his monitor. He is a red man.
Oh, so he and now that he's with Crystal now because he has her. And
yeah,
we don't and oh man, that's so like that. If this was like this was all like actually like him.
Yeah. Now going to the image of the status, it's actually a Discord profile.
Oh, you're right.
And the note at the bottom is what you put in. Like, I literally added one to Gamer in Yellow's profile while we were doing this.
You did?
It's not something that we see. It's something that he can see for himself. It's a note.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Yeah. And so...
You can type in, I hate this fucking guy, but you'll never see it.
Yeah. So that... goes into more of the stalker side of things, where he's becomes smitten by someone that he's only heard her voice, because it says they've never met in person. And it goes on to say, for as long as I've known my dear beloved Crystal, I have never even seen her face.
Yeah, that's
So
very like twisted on its head. That is very like stalker letter
yeah,
kind of writing. Like I think I literally like heard some like there's a Chillo's art game where you're playing as a barista at a Starbucks style thing, and you're
Night
being
shift.
stalked by somebody. Yeah, night shift. Yeah, and you definitely get some letters from a mysterious figure who is, and they basically like leave messages like that to you at your door, and it's very disconcerting.
Yep. That's all because at the start of the game, that guy couldn't find his phone and you gave it to him. So he fell in love with you and started stalking you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what you get for being nice. Remember, people, be an asshole.
I really hate that.
I know.
Like,
it's not that you have to be an asshole. It's just, I don't know.
Be careful. Just be careful. Like, be friendly, be nice, but have a taser.
Yeah.
Or have a means to defend yourself. Just if shit goes wrong. Like, plan for the worst, but expect the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if someone tries to take your sandwich, you'd be like, "That's my sandwich," or whatever that.
Back off. Get your own sandwich.
Yeah.
How? Yeah.
We're referencing a stupid old thing from the 2000s.
It was like late 90s, early 2000s. It was a commercial for like Maple Leaf, like deli meat,
ham,
and ham and deli meat. And there's like basically like a self-defense course, but it was like how to keep your sandwich safe from like people who want your sandwich. It's like, and they're like doing like taekwondo kind of moves. It's like, and they're like throw it. It's like, remember you throw up your lunch bag, and then you do a kick, and it's like, back off, get your own sandwich. And then there's like, and there's, it's funny because like one of them is like, back off, get your own sandwich, and then the instructor's like, you're too nice, Kate. Yum. And as they're them meditating, it's like yum. Yeah, that. Yeah, I'll leave a link in the description for that one as well.
There's gonna be all these links to like creepypastas and then Maple Leaf sandwich commercial.
Well, people need context to what we're fucking saying.
I know, it's just gonna be funny to see.
But yeah, like also before we went on that little tangent.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh God. I was gonna actually just comment as like life advice by Delta Rig Mortis.
Yeah,
because
really.
it's like plan for the worst, but expect the best. Like, be prepared.
Yeah. It just, the whole end sequence just seems very stalkery.
Yeah, it definitely changed. There's definitely a shift, like halfway through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like, maybe that's the real horror, is some online guy that doesn't know you is suddenly in love with you. Yeah, it's true.
Horrible things aren't just relegated to the males. Women can be bad people too. I know history might tell me otherwise. But
Gamer's last words before he was canceled.
Yeah.
But no, you are right. Like, there are female predators as much as male predators. So
yeah. So that's pretty much all I have to say.
Okay. I definitely think that isn't really. I actually really like that take. It was like that. There is nothing supernatural. It's actually that. Nair here. This is sort of like an unintentional, intentional confession to stalking and kidnapping somebody.
Yeah.
That actually is a really interesting idea for the story, like for as a turn of events for the story.
Mm-hmm.
So good job, Mikey.
You're welcome.
All right, Gamer, you're up.
What do I have left? Okay, I'm gonna read these quotes without freaking out at all the weird symbols, just to make my life easier and make it easier to understand.
I think you may. I wonder if you guys may have noticed some pauses in me, is because I was like trying to like quickly decipher what I was reading. What was reading.
So I'm sure there's a logical explanation for all of this, but I need more eyes to parse it. Please reach out if you can help. I don't know how anyone would reach out without an email or a contact method on this page whatsoever.
Or I'm surprised there's not like that's another thing. Like, yeah, there should be like an email or something like that, and like at the top, or like I'm surprised this like it doesn't even have like a comment section at the bottom even. But yeah.
Granted, comment sections can be good or bad because they might mess with immersion while other people are actually like trying to be in
character,
in universe.
Yeah. Like I think it would be cool to have like I don't know like how sketchy or how reasonable it would be. It might be interesting to have like if the person who made this had a like just made up a quick Google like Gmail account for like redman.gmail.com or at gmail.com.
Yeah.
Just to like see how many people they hook in.
For sure. That'd be fun. But that's not there. So that whole line is kind of unnecessary, honestly, because you can't contact them.
Yeah. Like it's good for immersion, but out of all the immersive stuff, like that one's the one that is probably the weakest.
That's about it, really, for the weakness of that, though. But moving on, this guy, I see what you're saying. This guy's phone calls with his pen pal keep getting interrupted, and he realized because his computer's on a dial-up internet thing, we mentioned this, after getting fed up and plugging the whole thing, allegedly burned in the floppy disk. So some might see this as like a supernatural thing, but like all this mention of like weird things happening through the internet, it just kind of gives me vibes of a hacker fucking with things.
And that's all it could also be. Like it could be like I even explained like that could be in a tabletop explanation. Like that could be your explanation is it's just like a weird serial hacker / stalker.
Yeah, for sure. Like even the Discord thing, like yes, we're assuming that anything around the Redman gets affected by it. That's why it goes all Redman-y. But you get hacked, the hacker can fuck with things and do the same thing, So there is a mundane explanation for all of it, which is kind of cool. Because as much as creepiness and supernatural stuff is fun, it's also a supernatural safety blanket where real life horror is actually horrifying because it could actually happen.
Yeah.
Hence Baraska.
Hence Baraska.
To bring up Baraska again.
for the 100th time in the last 2 months.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, not really, but yeah, that's a blatant exaggeration. But anyway, I find it like I was actually just thinking of it's like I like supernatural aspects give us the safety blanket, but it's also a safety blanket in that like not everybody wants to read something super skeevy or super realistic. Like so like to have that is also like something good for people who don't want to experience like somebody who might get triggered by an actual like creepy stalker thing like that. That's a very real and very unfortunately very common thing that happens online. Yeah. It's like on par with like being cyberbullied, like cyber stalking.
Yeah, unfortunately. But for maximum skeevy and creepiness, that's where you go for sure. But yeah, there's good and bad to doing supernatural, basically, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
But this can be viewed either way, so pick your poison, basically.
Basically, yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the true horror in this whole story is basically just what can happen when the algorithm takes over and forces people to watch and search for stuff that it wants them to do.
Oh my god.
Like when machine learning AI shit kind of like takes over.
That's what this is actually all. It's just a rogue algorithm.
Yeah.
Redman's actually like again like the throw in like a cyber supernaturalness to it. Like it's actually just like a rogue AI that was originally like made for as an algorithm for like spotting things, and it's just gone nuts and become the Redman. Because like I've had some scary things where I was like I don't even talk about like I don't even have the phone like on hand. It's like on a counter somewhere, and I'm talking in the room with my folks about something, or like my sister about something. And then I go on to like TikTok or Twitter, and I start seeing stuff about that. I was like, why is this suddenly popping? Like, and like just a stream of it, not just like one or two things, like a whole feed of what I was just talking about. I was like, fuck, my phone's listening.
It might actually be. You do have an
No,
Apple
it
product.
is. Yeah.
They're horrible. Not that I'm throwing
Oh
shade.
yeah,
Actually,
I mean, throw shade at Apple all you want. Like they're
Okay,
they're
fine.
they're a megacorp. They they don't deserve protection.
yeah.
yeah. So the fact that you mentioned Redman means that the algorithm's like, hey, you
Yeah.
mentioned Redman.
Yeah, now I'm
Clearly,
gonna get-
you want to look up stuff for Redman.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh.
And yeah, pretty much everything else kind of brushed on a little bit as we were talking. Mikey, your whole like view of it, and like specifically as soon as you brought up the Discord note section being
Mhm.
written in, that literally cemented this as a real life like stalker kidnap story, unfortunately. So I don't have that safety blanket anyway. That was burned away with that revelation.
Burned
Because-
away in the red light of reality.
Yeah, because that screenshot shows that the person writing this typed in "I found you."
Yeah, that's true. I see. I don't. I still have my, ironically, rose-colored glasses on.
Yep.
I can still like thread together some things like, oh, it could still be supernatural. Maybe he's not typing it. Maybe it's typing on its own.
Sure.
And it's like sending him a message like, I found you.
I mean,
It could be addressed to hit the person.
It could be. It actually could be. You're actually right.
Here's another safety blanket, Gabriel. Let me just wrap this
Okay,
around you.
The safety
Here's some
blanket's
hot
thinner
cocoa.
than the last one, though. I prefer it to how warm the other one was.
I'm sorry, I didn't have time to knit in a lining. I'm sorry.
Okay, I appreciate you, though. It's fine.
Here's some lukewarm cocoa.
That's not hot. I guess that's okay. Wow, this silliness is amazing. So yeah, I do like it though. Honestly,
Yeah.
I like it more. Having these quote unquote like actual confirmed quote unquote real life potential creepiness to this.
Yeah,
because I don't know, it hits me more because it's like the
especially since
creepiness
it's
is creepier than any supernatural thing could ever be.
even like going further ahead, like going back to like when I was like rabbit holing, and then going further into like where this was popping up on somebody's like stream while they were like streaming it online and like in the chat, like by people who were like watching, and they were getting these bots that were like were bringing up this the link to this website specifically. That in real, like, again, there's a recent Chillizards game called Parasocial that has something very similar where like somebody in the chat posts a link to a new game or something to check out, and the person does it and their computer gets hacked.
Yep.
So it's like that's how it spreads. It spreads through these hacker bots, and so it's like basically a stalker going after like a wider spread. It could be supernatural, or it could be somebody basically tossing a cyber net out to see if they can get somebody with phishing, like with PH.
Is that PH phishing?
Yeah, I think PH phishing is when they send out a bunch of emails to different email addresses in the hopes that you might click on something that you're not supposed to.
Yes, you're right. But yeah, I guess that's about it till final thoughts. My thoughts changed while reading this, or
I got
listening to everyone talking about it though.
Yeah, I got to actually as I'm still on the supernatural side, but I got to commend Mikey for coming up with for giving me a new perspective that like made it could be, it's just as valid, I feel.
Yeah.
Of being like real, because like I now can't unsee how the character's mannerism toward Crystal changes at the end of the story.
Yeah, like you can read that like as such a nice thing to say, or as such a horrible thing to say, using the exact same words.
Like at first I thought it was just like, oh, it's just kind of like an awkward, like, they're not really sure how to talk or how to bring this kind of stuff up. So they're talking about like they
Awkward
just want to
teenage
give her a
love.
big hug. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
or it's just like awkward, like online kind of stuff, like flirting and
Yeah.
stuff like that. It's fine. But and then like my first interpretation was that, oh, like as it got weirder and kind of more like intimate and stuff like that, and then he was talking about like going to see her and stuff, or like wants to see her again. It's like, oh, he's being sucked in, like he's being lulled in by the entity. But then you get Mikey's interpretation, and it's just like, oh no, he's showing his true colors, red. Yeah, and he's actually
it's Cyber Cupid, and it's fine.
yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, it's definitely
Buddy
not.
horrors. I like
She's
buddy
definitely
horrors.
not bound, and she's definitely not bound with red rope in his basement or something like
No.
that. Like,
Why
yeah,
you can never come out to say it.
oh, yeah. Gamer, welcome to our show.
Yeah.
But we were all thinking it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
When Mikey brought up the realism stuff, like I immediately went to like, oh, he has her in a basement somewhere in a car trunk or something,
Not good.
or in the corner of the same room that he's typing this all up, and she's just like
Probably.
got like red duct tape over her face, like she's like,
Really
Oh.
committing to the red thing. You can't just specifically like find red duct
yeah,
tape.
no, you got to go like full
It's
on,
like
like
the other town over, but he's like, I have to do it. It's my thing now.
it's like I've become fully. I am the red man. I am red man. But yeah, so I guess with that, on to final thoughts.
Yeah.
Lots of material here for a creepy new monster and mystery to throw at players in a game scenario. But is this itself a good creepypasta? Well, it certainly plays on the tropes of early to mid-internet horror 101, which, no surprise, it seems like Marcie's or even Mae and Hazel, if they are involved, from what I've seen of their stuff, it's very likely that this whole thing is a tribute to or a nod to those earlier creepypasta days. The size of it and the format of it, like this NeoCities site and this like the story and the visuals and stuff like that, makes it easily digestible. And while it's not super creepy, there is an eeriness to the imagery that we get and the story arc itself, and it has this eerie familiarity for those of us who hang out a little too much online. And to me anyway, it almost kind of had a bit of a comfort horror to it, if that makes sense. Like it's the kind of horror that I read and I get nostalgic for, because it's the kind.
You said yourself, like it wraps up so many tropes in it.
Yeah, it wraps up so many tropes of stories that I have fond memories of, like getting like linked to me by friends and stuff. And even hell, the story itself, like Redman, was linked to me by a friend.
Yeah.
And I decided to do this one on the show. So it's like, yeah, it's
linked by someone you've never met in person, though.
I have met Matt.
I was gonna say
we've hung out at
It's
Gen
not
Con
the
a couple
red
of times. We have hung out at Gen Con a couple of times.
Okay.
So like every couple of years, I get to see I get to meet him.
All right.
But yeah, like it's sort of like this whole story for me, it felt very like comfort food kind of horror. Like I really enjoyed the read, and I really kind of dug me falling down a rabbit hole. Like I wasn't like falling I was like as I fell down the rabbit hole like Alice. To like the different videos and like the different little things, and like it was like trying to piece a little mini mystery. I was like, who actually made this? And then like with Matt's aid, like finding like that it was this Marcie SS who's connected to Mae and Hazel from their respective YouTube channels. So yeah, I think that's why I'm willing to recommend this. All in all, is like it feels like coming home, in a weird, creepy way, a weird, spooky way. that only horror fans I think can kind of really relate to, like
Yeah.
reading this kind of thing, and like you kind of it feels very familial. There's tropes. The tropes are all very familiar. The situation's very familial, and so it kind of it presses a bunch of buttons, I guess, in my head. So that's why I'm willing to. That's why I want to recommend it. Mikey, the stands for evil.
All right. So I originally was not recommending this,
Is it
but
happening?
then that's because the whole I hadn't clued in to the Discord side of things and how creepy the ending truly is.
Yeah.
I actually came up with that on the spot after staring at the photo for a little bit and being like, "What is that from?" And then looking at
Yeah.
Discord, oh, okay. So I originally got more of a I want to say Xbox vibe. So you know when in the old days when you had friends on Xbox 360
Mm.
and then you check their profile on Xbox One and they haven't been online in like 10 years.
Yeah.
I was getting that sort of vibe initially.
Okay.
It's like, well, she just moved on. Like, there's nothing you can do, buddy.
Yeah.
But by doing my own digging of this story, and finding that it was actually him being more of a stalker and more creepy, I am actually going to up my recommendation as a partial recommendation.
Wow.
Because
Still a partial.
I'll take it. We rarely get change. We rarely get a change from Mikey.
Yeah.
not that there's anything bad with your like with your opinions or anything, but like the fact that you've changed it is very like it's very interesting. It's very unique.
It's not on brand for you.
No, yeah, you're usually pretty adamant about like no, I refuse to I refuse to change my opinion.
So now I ask, why partial?
because the grammar is still horrendous.
That's the hill you'll die on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
That's fair. All right. And then I guess Gamer, your final recommendation.
I
Or
guess
final
so.
thoughts.
So I came into this being like, it's okay, but I was like, because like I've read my fair share of creepypastas at this point. We're on episode 400 and something.
515.
Yeah, I haven't read. I haven't been there since episode 1, but I've still read my fair share, and like I've read stories that are like this and like that, and like that aspect is like this, which is why you brought up all the tropes and stuff, where it can be good, but it can be a trap if you just try to make a tropey story.
Yeah, it can be a
you're not
detriment,
doing
yeah.
anything new.
Fair.
And that was kind of my worry with it, because it was just like, okay, that's like that trope, that's like that trope, whatever. But as we got into our discussion and the revelation that this could be either a buddy horror with a supernatural entity that is basically just a digital Cupid bringing people together, and he's helping.
I'm helping.
It's like those Lovecraftian creatures that are actually trying to help, and they don't understand why humans are screaming when they're trying to help them, because they don't understand humans. And that's cool. And then that's cute. And
you sound like Hitler from.
That's why I changed it.
So that's cute.
Yeah,
we could be brothers.
From Fury, yeah.
It's almost like we finish each other's balls. What?
So yes, it's fine. Speaking of balls, this has nothing to do with balls. So, and then when Mikey brought up his revelation of, oh, that is a note that you put in yourself. Nair, what did you do?
What did you do, Nair?
Yeah, that really cemented this home for me for how much of a creepy real life horror this is.
Or at least could be, yeah.
Is, in my opinion, because it's literally there. You can see how it is. because there's factual evidence that it's right there because of the note. And yes, Cultist, you did bring up that it's possible that a hacker could have went in and changed that. However, Nair would have known that happened and been like, I didn't write that. They would have said that,
Oh no, I wasn't saying like a hacker. I was thinking like a supernatural thing was just like it just starts ghostwriting.
Well, either way, hacker or supernatural hacker doesn't matter. Nair
Or
would
maybe
mention that here's the screenshot, but I didn't write that.
Or maybe Nair didn't notice that was there.
Maybe.
Although I feel like
it's
if it was
like
if
we
that
didn't
been the
notice,
case, I feel like actually what might have been interesting is if that was the case, that it should have been in red text. But yeah,
I don't know if you could change the color of that though.
I know, but I mean, you could do that in Photoshop. Like you could, like, for the sake of the story itself, like that way it makes it seem like it's supernatural because it's like, I found you. It's all red text.
Yes, if it was weird like that, yeah, it would be more supernatural. But because it's plain text, plain white text, like you would write yourself, it's making me wonder if it's actually there. That's a bad guy, bad girl, bad person. Who knows?
Yeah.
But all in all, that's a long way of saying I like the story. There's a couple of ways you can view it. If you want to view it as real life horror, you can, and you'll hate it. If you want to view the supernatural horror, you'll love it and you'll hate it. Like, I'm not saying it's good and bad. I'm saying you'll love that you hate it, and you'll like it. It's good one way or another, depending on, regardless of how you view it. But if you go in here expecting to be scared and you view it as a supernatural safety blanket that doesn't scare you, you're not going to like it. But if you see it for the real world horror that it may or may not be, that will probably scare you regardless. So it has the potential to actually be scary, which creepypastas don't usually do these days. Like, they're normally like, I'm down for an action pasta. I'm down for an action pasta where it's just like there's creepy shit happening and I'm gonna go punch it in the face or whatever, and that's fine. But
I feel like, sorry, not to cut you off.
It's fine.
Yeah, I feel like I think that might be a case of like the stories that we've been covering lately have been very like the player or the protagonist has been a little bit more proactive in like trying to stop whatever's or dealing with whatever's attacking them. Whereas a lot of the time, like a lot of the classic stuff is like, no, the character is either captured and like, or we don't get to find out the resolution. And that's often scarier because we don't know if they fell victim to the monster or the horror of the story or what have you.
Yeah, that's pretty much the end of my final thoughts, I'd say. I'll bump up my partial to a full recommendation because I was scared. When I had
wow. Is this what you guys feel like when I change my recommendation down or something like that?
Yeah, sometimes.
Wow.
I mean, down. Do we always talk down?
No. That's I'm doing this for a goof. Yeah.
There's been a couple of times where you didn't like a story we liked and we fixed it for you.
Yeah. But wow, yeah. So a partial recommendation and 2 full recommendations. Yeah, and but yeah, that'll do it for this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted. We're all on Twitter, kind of,
to various degrees.
Yeah, Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer and Yell is at the Gamer and Yell, but without that W at the end because his name is very long.
Yeah.
And I'm at Review Cultist. I'm also on Blue Sky as Review Cultist, so you can check me out there. You can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com. Where you can also send us other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky things. You creep it, we'll peep it. Yeah. And if you'd like to help support our show financially, you can go to Patreon. Select the backer tier like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tiers with special episodes, early access, extra content. To all our patrons, thank you immensely. You're helping keep those hosting bills at bay. And as always, we very much appreciate that. And to our listeners and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it'd be like screaming into the void. The red glow of the void. And if without these stories, without these videos and these little, I don't know, almost borderline ARG aspects of creepypastas that people make online, and posted on there for people to find or get linked to and such, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about. So thank you. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Marcie, the Eastern Retriever.
And I'm the gamer in red.
I'm sorry? And I hope you